It's about I got to say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Being able to run as he shoots the moon to the fans here in Green Bay.
That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Today I feel giddy.
Here we go.
I can handle it.
This is BS Sports.
And away we go. Welcome in on what has been an absolutely insane week in NA. And I was going to mix NHL and NFL, and I didn't know what that middle letter was. In NFL, free agency, trades, cuts, everything, signings, things have been absolutely nuts. You got Captain Kirko going to the Falcons. You got Saquon to the Eagles. You got Austin Eckler to the Commies. You got the Lions trading for Carlton Davis and other things and stuff. I'm going to try to break down every move that I thought was noteworthy and then a few other moves that I thought were a little sneaky. Well, moves that maybe people might not notice, but I think they will come to notice in this upcoming season. We'll see. We'll talk about it. On top of that, we also got to talk to Red Wings. Right now, they're going to be playing the Sabres on the road, but they've lost 5 straight, and currently they're sitting in, I believe, the last wild card spot in the East, thanks to an Islanders loss last night. They're in a must-win situation right here on the road, taking on the Sabres, a team that they really got to win. But this Dylan Larkin injury has not been good, to say the least. And we'll break down the end of the regular season for Michigan State basketball, a little bit of a preview of the Big Ten conference tourney in college basketball. But obviously, we have to start with all of this free agency stuff. So, okay, there's a lot to break down. So I'm going to try to break this down into categories for myself. The problem is, because I'm a stupid human being, I did not categorize it in the show sheet. So it's a lot of things. So hopefully I hit what I need to do. But let's just jump into it. Let's try to jump into it. So, okay, we'll start with the Lions because that's my team. I want to break down some of the moves that have been made up to this point. So here we go. First things first, Lions re-sign Graham Glasgow. They keep him along. I believe it was a 2-year deal. I guess I can double check the link. No, it was a 3-year deal worth $20 million, $9.5 million guaranteed. I need to turn you on Do Not Disturb, Discord. Let's do that because that's going to annoy me. Anyways, Lions also go out and they sign Marcus Davenport, defensive edge out of Minnesota, to a 1-year deal. He was also a former New Orleans Saint. I believe he played for the Saints a couple of years while Dan Campbell was, of course, the assistant head coach and tight ends coach, and Aaron Glenn, I don't believe was the defensive coordinator at that point. He might have been, but either way, he's a guy from New Orleans. Technically, we got him from Minnesota, and that's, a guy you take away from a division opponent. I'm not going to be upset when you do that. Then the quote unquote biggest move they've made is the Lions trade for Carlton Davis. The trade is the Lions getting 2 6th-round picks from the Buccaneers plus Carlton Davis, and the Bucs get the Lions 2024 3rd-round pick. And second to last, the Lions sign Mick Robertson from the Las Vegas Raiders. That'll be a 2-year, $9.25 million deal with up to $10 million in incentives. I'm looking at the report here from Christian Booher from All Lions SI, like the Sports Illustrated, Lions page, I guess. And let's see what else. He was the 4th-round pick by the Raiders a couple of years ago. He's only 25 years old. He signed for a couple of years. Sorry, I just got distracted because the Buffalo Sabres just took a 1-0 lead on the Red Wings, so we're off to a fantastic start. We'll get to that later. And then finally, the Lions, just about maybe an hour ago or so before we went live, they go ahead and they re-signed Dan Skipper to a 1-year deal. Skip obviously has been a part of the O-line for at least a few years at this point. He's been a solid backup option, so the Lions figured they bring him back. The vet there's no reason to not bring him back, especially for that cost. But looking at all these moves, just by themselves, there's nothing here that I think is totally egregious or like ugly. Like, there's nothing here that I'm like, this is like the worst move ever. Why are you paying X? Why are you trading for Y? The only thing that I'll say, if this is the extent of the moves made by the Lions front office to upgrade this team, upgrade the defense, to upgrade to fill the needs, I'm a little whelmed. Not underwhelmed exactly, because you made moves, you got better, but I am just a little meh. Does this help push the Lions past a NFC championship team to a NFC champion, to a Super Bowl champion? Not necessarily. I mean, I can pull up the stats here for Carlton Davis because he's sort of the big name that has been brought in here. He's been just kind of okay in his career. Last year, he had just a couple of interceptions. He had a 5 approximate value. I don't know what that's out of on Football Reference or Pro Football Reference. He had 9 passes defended. Longest that he gave up was, it's longest interception return, excuse me. Gave up. Wait, why is there 2? Is there not? Where am I? I thought there was something for yards. Oh, okay. I guess there wasn't something for yards. Yeah, what the heck? The Sabres are now up 2-0. What the? I'm sorry. We'll get to it. But like a couple of years ago, yeah, I think most people would have looked at this and been like, yeah, this is a solid guy. Like many double-digit passes defended. He's got a few interceptions there. A few fumbles here and there. But he's entering his age 28 season. And he only played 12 games last year. He's never played a full season. He's played in the playoffs, so it's not. I mean, he's played every year in the playoffs, but in the years they made it, I should say. But I mean, like, not in any like world are you gonna say this guy is a reliable everyday option, right? Like, if he's your cornerback 1. Well, you better hope your pass rush is very good, because that's not exactly the scariest secondary to me. Now, the signing that I think is a little under the radar, and I don't know that I've really heard that many talking about it, is this Amik Robertson. So I looked at Amik Robertson's stats. Like, it's not anything to scoff at. Like, it's not like he's like amazing, but it's also not like, terrible. So he had just I believe he had just the 1 interception last year. Where is it? Yeah, no, he had 2 interceptions last. Oh, and they took away the goal for the Sabres. Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm distracted. I got the Red Wings on. I'm talking about free agency things. So he had let's see, he had just 6 passes defended. He hasn't really played all that much. That's the thing. Like, he's been in the league since 2020, but he was not a starter. He's slowly but surely gotten better every year, it seems, to where he's, forcing fumbles. He's getting interceptions. He's in cover. Like, he's making plays. It's kind of hard to look at cornerbacks stat-wise, at least on Football Reference. But I don't know. It's like I like this a little bit more because it's a guy entering into his prime as opposed to with Carlton Davis, where you're getting a guy who might be exiting his prime and is kind of injury prone. Whereas, our friend Amik, what is this guy's name? Amik, our friend Amik, past couple of years, he's played all 17 games. So that's a reliable option. And it is a depth piece. It's not a blow you away piece. And I think that's why this offseason, or at least the start of it for the Lions, is a little underwhelming for me. I want to talk a little bit about Marcus Davenport, though, because this could be the sneak signing that nobody expects to be good, but actually ends up being good. So the only reason I say that is because you look at Marcus Davenport's stats. In Minnesota, I mean, did you even play? I mean, like, to be fair, he only played 4 games and he started 3 of them. He couldn't stay on the field. Outside of that, his best season in terms of sacks was in 2021. Now, to be fair, Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn at that point were no longer with the Saints. But he had 9 sacks that year. He played in 11 games. He started in 9 of them. So, again, not exactly staying on the field all the time. But he did play. The most amount of games he's played in a season was 15. And he started just 9. The most amount he started in was 13. But overall, a guy on a prove-it deal. Will it work? I don't know. But I do know that there is something of a relationship between Campbell and this guy, and obviously Glenn especially, which is a little bit more of a factor here for whether or not you can get the best football out of him. And I do like that they took him out from a division opponent, because even if he's kind of was not all that good for Minnesota, anytime you steal a player from a division opponent, I'm not going to be upset with you. Even if they suck, I'd rather have them not have a breakout year with another team that's in the division that will have to play twice than whatever. It's a 1-year deal. We can just replace him with a guy maybe we get in the draft, or in the rest of free agent. We don't know what's going to happen in the rest of free agency. I don't know that there's really that many defensive linemen left, because we'll talk about some of the other deals that were made and some of the deals that were made mere minutes before I went live. But overall, I'm trying to be a little positive without just screaming and yelling, because I think Brad Holmes has done a pretty good job. And there's been a lot of people saying that free agency has been a little bit of his Achilles heel. I'm not totally bought in on that. I think he's missed, at least recently, on some free agents. And by missed, I mean like Emmanuel Mosley's leg came off, and CJ Gardner-Johnson's also his chest was removed surgically or whatever. I don't know. It's some pec. Yeah, it's like his 2 big name signs, Mosley and Gardner-Johnson, both get hurt. And, when Gardner-Johnson was playing, the last, taste we had of Gardner-Johnson was a stupid penalty and, just waving to the crowd when the game was not over. So it's not a great feeling around Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. It's not a great feeling about free agency for Brad Holmes in general. But I don't know. It seems like a little bit of like people just, oh yeah, he sucks at free agent. It's like, I don't know that that's entirely true. I mean, he did bring in, Alex Anzalone and David Montgomery, and, people are upset at Cam Sutton, but Cam Sutton, it was not a terrible corner, except when he had to cover some of the best receivers in the league. That's just not the role Cam Sutton is supposed to play at all. And Josh Reynolds is another one. I just thought Josh Reynolds, Kyle Brandt, he's brought in good free agents. And maybe you want to say it's on the defensive end, he hasn't been all that good. Sure, whatever. I'm not necessarily denying that. But that is where we're at. Now, as far as players that are still out there that I would like for the Lions to get, the big name is L'Jarius Sneed. For one, I want to take him away from Kansas City, because anytime you take away a player from a Super Bowl champion, you increase your odds of winning that Super Bowl, right? Because I don't want L'Jarius Sneed playing for the Chiefs, right? And I certainly don't want him playing for any other team that we might have to play either in the Super Bowl or coming up to the Super Bowl in the playoffs, right? Like, certainly if he's going to get traded, which seems like that's going to happen, if he's going to get traded, I don't want it to be to an NFC opponent. I would rather it go to an AFC opponent, but I just want him. Like, it's just, that would really, to me, solidify this defense, at least from where we're at right now, right? Obviously, I'm not going to judge the offseason based on free agency, right? Like, for one, more trades can happen as the season progresses and as the offseason progresses. And further, we still have this whole thing called the NFL draft, right? Where we can acknowledge some other things within the organizational need. Like, I understand people getting upset and they're yelling and they want big name players. And obviously, you saw Christian Wilkins and Danielle Hunter, some of the bigger names in the defensive line market, get bought off just a couple of days ago. yesterday in the case of Wilkins, today in the case of Daniel Hunter. And you're like, why aren't we in on this? Why aren't we? It's like, well, for the same reason that the Lions weren't in on, say, Kayvon Thibodeau, or I'm trying to think of someone else, like Bijan Robinson, or any of these players that went either after or before, and we didn't trade to get, like, any player that we did or didn't get. There's probably some reason for it. It's not like, and I hate when people do this, where they're just like, oh, they just don't like to spend. They don't want to spend. They're just being cheap, and they want to be cute and just do these. It's like, well, we know that Brad Holmes is very intentional about the guys that he brings in. So there's something about these guys that he's signing that he likes. Will it work out? I don't know. But from when it started in 21 to where we're at now, I think for the most part, most of the things that he has done has worked out, free agency included. So am I losing my mind? No. Would I jump up and down and celebrate, all through the night if L'Jarius Sneed is traded to the Lions and we sign him to a long-term deal? Yes, I would be very happy for that. I don't know if it's going to happen, and I'm assuming, and maybe I'm wrong, that there could be at least one more move after. But if this is the extent of the offseason, a little disappointing. But hey, I mean, Brad Holmes probably knows more than I do. So I'll trust that the needs that he believes we need to acknowledge are acknowledged. And if it doesn't work out, obviously it's a scar against his resume. But we're just not at that point yet. Need to see how the rest of the offseason goes. But as it stands, like I said, could be better. Now let me check my cellular telephone, because there are a couple of... Okay, so there have been a couple of notifications here. This is happening right now, right live. Apparently the Steelers have just traded Deontay Johnson to the Panthers. So I guess we'll just immediately... Should we talk? And then also I'm seeing the Eagles have just signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson to a 3-year deal. So C.J. Gardner-Johnson returns to the Eagles after his 1-year stint here in Detroit, which was riddled with the injury and then the drama. And apparently the Eagles want him back. So Philly, he's your problem now. So have fun with that. So you know what we'll do? I'm going to try to break these down by position because I think that makes the most sense. So we're going to do all related moves related to that position. So we're going to do, whether trade requests, free agent, whatever, we're going to do it all. So let's start with quarterbacks, because that is obviously the biggest thing. And we'll go in order of how I put them here. So the first things first. Oh, geez. Hold on. Let's restart that segment. Okay. So first things first, we're going to go with quarterbacks, and we're going to start with the first move for a quarterback that I saw, which is the Jags made a trade, and they are trading for one McCorkle Jones. Mac Jones traded to the Jaguars. The Patriots get a 2024 6th-round draft pick. Now, I just want to put this into perspective. Mac Jones, I believe, was picked like 16th in the draft, something like that. And Trevor Lawrence, obviously, I mean, maybe infamously, I don't know if that's the word you want to use, was taken first overall. So think of it this way. The Patriots use a first-round pick on a quarterback who, for whether or not it's his fault or Matt Patricia or Bill Belichick, whoever's fault it is, and the Buffalo Sabres just scored again, so that's wonderful. The Red Wings are just dying, just slowly dying. Why? I hate this. Anyways, McCorkle Jones is now the backup to the player who was taken first overall. And the Patriots, all they get for their noble sacrifice of taking McCorkle Jones is a 6th-round pick. I know that this is entering into a rebuild phase, I guess, for the Patriots, and maybe some Pats fans are not used to this because, they've been winning every single possible game ever and every championship and every record that you want to know that exists. But how do you like? He had like a pretty good rookie year, and I don't know if his confidence is shot. I don't know if it's just a bad spot, right? Things aren't good, and all you get is a 6th round pick for a 1st round quarterback, and clearly he's not the guy. It shows me that the Patriots are thinking quarterback this draft. Now they got a draft quarterback. That's one of the things that I get why it happens, but it does kind of give away the game a little bit, right? Because you're thinking, right, like, well, I know they're going to be taking a quarterback because they're not going to start Bailey Zappi, right? They're picking 3rd, I believe, or 4th. Like, okay, they're revealing their draft strategy. They're going to be picking whoever they believe is the best quarterback available. Could be maybe they trade up for a couple of spots to get Drake May, or if Caleb Williams somehow falls out of the 1 spot. I don't know. But I don't know. I just found it odd. And for the Jags, I mean, I guess you get a backup. Mac Jones is probably better than CJ Beathard. Probably. He's probably got a little bit more upside. Probably. But on the other end of it, well, maybe there's a little bit of a not unease, but buyer's remorse potentially with Trevor Lawrence, because Trevor Lawrence has not showed anything. Like, at this point, Trevor Lawrence has really not done much of anything impressive to me, other than maybe he had that pretty nice second half run in 22, won the division, won a playoff game. That was fun. Outside of that, nothing but disappointment from one Trevor Lawrence. But that's not the only quarterback that is either on the move or getting money. Speaking of getting money, Baker Mayfield signs a $100 million deal for 3 years, $50 million of that guaranteed. So Baker Mayfield's sticking with the Buccaneers. So Bucs, they found their guy to replace Tom Brady. I think it's a good signing. Baker is a solid quarterback. He's certainly shown that. And I think it makes sense given the Red Wings just scored. Given their they bring back Mike Evans. So then there was a little bit of news where I was like, wait, why are they not close to a deal with Baker? They get it done. They got their quarterback. They got their wide receiver one. So, okay. All right. They're going to kind of run it back a little bit. I think the Bucs are at least a solid enough team. I think they need to do a little bit more potentially in free agency. Or maybe, I don't know. I really don't they'll be mid. They'll be a 8 to 10 win team, I think. But I don't know. I mean, their division's probably going to get better. I don't know. If their goal in life is to just compete for that division, get a home game in the playoffs, and hope some magic happens, fine, fair enough. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And the Sabres just scored immediately. That's Alex Lyon was, falling on his ass. We'll get to the Red Wings in a little bit, but this is absolutely atrocious right now. I think it's a solid move. I think it's the right move for the Bucs, but they're kind of in a little bit of purgatory right now. And I just got another notification. Okay, just nothing. Just Deontay Johnson trade deal. Oh, no, not wait. Oh, okay. Sorry, I did read that wrong. So, yeah, Deontay Johnson, the Steelers get cornerback Dante Jackson and a 6th round pick in exchange for Deontay Johnson and a 7th round pick. Interesting. So, hey, Bryce Young gets himself another weapon, I guess, technically. That doesn't really make any sense given the whole. Well, we'll talk about it in just a few moments. Moving on to this, to me, is the cream of the crop. And I mean the cream of the crop in the sense of it's a quarterback that he couldn't have gone to a more it just sort of fits. Russell Wilson signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers It'll be a league minimum 1-year deal where the Broncos will be paying $38 million of the salary. So, it's like the Moneyball. It's like the Moneyball line. The Broncos are paying Russell Wilson to play against them, basically. That's how they feel about Russell Wilson. They believe so little in him. They would pay him to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Essentially. Obviously, I understand. It's just how contracts work. But it is interesting to think because there's a lot, and there were some people who were saying, oh, this is a great move for the Steelers. It gives them, quarterback depth. It gives, Pickett some room to grow. And yeah, maybe that's true. But my only thing is, do you really want Kenny Pickett growing and learning behind Russell Wilson? I mean, I get it, right? He's a Super Bowl champion. He's a multi-time Pro Bowler. He was, for a time, one of the great quarterbacks in this league. But it's ever since he got to the Broncos, and further, frankly, ever since he, kind of took over, in the late 2010s, after that Super Bowl loss, he had his flashes. He had his moments. But, obviously Seattle has been sort of a down bad franchise since that Super Bowl loss for the most part. But there's something about him. There's just something about he's just a distraction all the time. It just seems like he's a distraction. And I don't know if Mike Tomlin's going to figure something out with him, if he's going to be the quarterback to, help the Steelers. And oh my gosh, it is 4-1. I am going to lose my mind. It is the first period and the Red Wings are losing 4-1 to the Buffalo Sabres. I'm going to lose my, when we get to the Red Wings side, I'm going to scream. It's going to be bad. They're literally shooting 1 for 3. They've got a goal for every 3 shots they've taken. That's amazing. Anyway, Russell Wilson to the Steelers. It's a weird move. I get why it's happening. I get why people like it. I don't know. The Steelers are just a weird organization, and I don't have any reason to take them seriously when they're running out Russell Wilson and Kenny Pickett as their quarterbacks 1 and 2 respectively. Moving along to one Captain Kirko, the Kirkinator, Captain Kirk, signing a 4-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know. I don't have the terms here. Let me see if maybe this is going to give me. Okay, this is a video, so this is literally no help. It's worth a lot of money. And it looks like James Reimer is in for Alex Lyon. So Alex Lyon is out after giving up 4 goals. So that's absolutely fantastic. Anyways, so Captain Kirko moves on to Atlanta. Now, there's a lot of people who were slandering this man, saying I can't believe he's getting all this money. He's won just 1 playoff game his whole career. He's never been an All-Pro. He's never gotten an MVP vote. Why is he making all this money? And you know what I say to that? I just want to have fun, all right? Let me have fun. Is Captain Kirko. Is he a little weird? Yeah, he's a little strange. Is he, not all that good? Yeah, he's not. He's okay. But is he, the worst quarterback? He's certainly not worse than Desmond Ridder or Taylor Heineke. He will certainly make Atlanta a far more competitive, a far more fun team to watch. I mean, people even forget this past season, before he got hurt, he was having a career year. He was one of the top quarterbacks. He was playing really well. And, he gets hurt. And his whole year spirals away. The Kirk Cousins era in Minnesota ends, and now Minnesota's without a quarterback. They did sign Sam Darnold to a 1-year deal, so not looking good for them. But I don't get why people are so viscerally upset about this one. Kirk Cousins is not he's not Sam Darnold, and I say as his former team signs Sam Darnold. I think it's a pretty good. I don't know if it's going to bring them over the top, but they do have talent on the offensive side of the football. for Atlanta. Obviously, Bijan, they had a good running game. So their problem was quarterback. And they get a competent quarterback. They get probably one of the better free agent quarterbacks available. And I don't know. People just don't like him. I don't know why people don't like him. I'm hoping that he does well. Although he could have played his best football in prior years and is not going to continue on that streak. But I'm hoping for the best. Hello, Monster23. Thank you for the comment. Keep going, bro. You make great vids. I try. I really do. Thank you, Monster. Let me know what you're thinking about some of the free agency moves, Monster. We're talking all the big quarterback signings. We'll get into the other position groups in a few minutes here. And I believe that is the last of the quarterbacks. So, as I say, we're getting into the quarterbacks. This is the last of the quarterbacks. I'd say of all of those, I kind of feel the best about Kirk Cousins. I do. I think the Baker thing, I mean, they're going to be where they were with Baker this past year. So probably just kind of like a middle of the road team, maybe a little bit better. And the one that I think is the weirdest is the McCorkle Jones trade to the Jags. Why? I don't understand. But can I talk about Eckler? You know what? We'll get into the running backs right now. And we'll start with one Austin Eckler, because Austin Eckler has signed with the Washington Commanders for a 2-year deal. Let me see, worth where is did they not get the terms? Worth up to $11 million. One Seth, the co-host of this show, who is not able to make it tonight and most nights because Home Depot is just trying to suck all the life force out of him. He wanted to let it be known that Austin Eckler. Hold on, let me get his exact words. Let me get his exact words here in just one moment. Let me get his exact words here. Austin Eckler is a Commander. What a stupid head. That was his exact words. Look, Austin Eckler is still one of the top running backs in the league, I think. I mean, last year he didn't have like a great year. Rushed for just 628 yards, on 179 carries, average of 3.5 yards. I think the Commanders, this feels a little bit to me like when the then Redskins picked up Adrian Peterson. It's kind of like, yeah, I mean, like, he's like still pretty good. He's like better than who was the Commanders running back this past season? Apparently Alex Arma, Brian Robinson Jr., Derek Austin Eckler is certainly better than all those guys. Is my point. So he does make them better on offense. However, it is kind of a weird place to be because, for one, I don't even know who they are going to have a quarterback. I don't know if they believe that, what's his name? Sam Howell is their guy. I don't know if they're going to take a quarterback in the draft. And I heard somebody say, like, well, maybe they take him in and he's gonna be like a veteran leader. He's gonna help mentor the new quarterback. I'm like, what mentor? Like, he's a running back. What is he gonna? Hey, hand the ball off to me. Like, what is he going to do? I don't quite understand it. In my mind, this is a little bit like, they need to field the team. So yeah, whatever. Just pick up Austin Eckler. I don't know. Fine, whatever. Just sign him, and I don't know. Maybe things will be better. I do think the Commanders are going to be a little bit better with him, but if this is the extent of their offseason moves, which I don't think it will be, and I'm sure there was probably some lower tier moves that I just don't really know about. I'm not a Commanders fan. It doesn't really do much for me. I'm sad to see Eckler leave the Chargers. That is a little bit stranger to me, though, because I mean, I figure, Eckler still has some years left in his, running life. Obviously, the Chargers pick up Gus Johnson to replace him. Or not Gus Johnson. No, Gus Edwards. Not Gus Johnson. Gus Johnson is the commentator. Right? They pick up Gus Edwards, didn't they? Am I stupid? Yeah, Gus Edwards. That's his name. So, they pick up I like Gus Edwards. I think he's a fine running back. I don't know. I was surprised by that them letting him walk. I guess I figured Jim Harbaugh likes to run the ball. Austin Eckler's an established running back, but I don't know. They like Gus Edwards, so they don't come to me for advice. I'm a Hawks fan. What do you think about their offseason potential? I haven't really been following too many of their offseason moves. I know they re-signed Noah Fant. I mean, they haven't made any move that I've got here on my list here, Monster. I mean, I guess I just don't really know where they're at on, future coaching situation, right? Because they bring in a new coach. They bring in, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the guy's name, McDonald out of Baltimore. Pete Carroll kind of moves out in a weird situation where he's still kind of with the team, but he didn't really want to leave as the head coach. And I don't know. They haven't really done anything that was that impactful to me. I saw a little bit of moves. I was like, oh, okay, they signed some guy that I don't even know who that is. Okay, go easy. But they usually draft well. They're a well-run organization. I'm sure they're gonna, sneak, 7 to 9 wins in there. I really don't see them just totally bottoming out, unless Geno Smith just completely falls off without Pete Carroll there to help guide him to success. But moving on to some more running backs. Let's see. Running backs. I'm going through my list here. Running backs. Okay. Let's talk a little. Josh Jacobs signs with the Green Bay Packers. I don't have the terms in front of me here. I think it was only a couple-year deal, something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. So Josh Jacobs signs with the Packers. I hear that, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. That makes their running back room a little deadly, right? Josh Jacobs in with Aaron Jones, and then suddenly, no, actually, Aaron Jones, you're fired. And I'm like, oh, so they just did a whole grand opening, grand closing for Aaron Jones. I was very shocked by that. I mean, I know Aaron Jones is coming up in age, and he's not, Aaron Jones of, say, 3-4 years ago. But I guess I still figure he's a solid running back. And bringing in Jacobs, I guess, like, right now he's better than Aaron Jones. But I don't know. I guess, like, I just don't see him being this, like he wasn't that good last year. I don't feel with the Raiders. It was kind of, I think he was hurt a little bit, to his credit. I don't know. I don't hate the move, but I also don't like in tandem with the Aaron Jones thing. It confuses me. Individually, I think it's probably an upgrade. Like, I think they probably get better from Jones to Jacobs, but I don't know. I really also would need, and generally the way I like to grade running back signings is what is the O-line situation with that team? And I don't really know what the O-line situation is going to be with Green Bay. I mean, Bakhtiari is gone. Not like he was ever really playing anyway. But I don't know that O-line was really that much of their strength. So, I mean, maybe it works out, but if you don't have a good O-line, unless you're like Derrick Henry, which I don't think Josh Jacobs is, probably going to be like just kind of okay. Like, it's not going to be a negative necessarily, but it's not going to like blow you out of the water. Moving along to one that I think actually could work out really well. Saquon going to the Eagles on a 3-year, $37 million deal with Philly. Now, Philly, in theory, again, they do have a pretty good O-line. Obviously, they lose Jason Kelce, and I don't know if they have secured any more offensive linemen. They might pick up an O-lineman in the draft. That wouldn't be that shocking to me. But I think Saquon has still got a lot left in him. Obviously, Philly seems to think so. And he's going to be playing 2 revenge games against his old team. So I feel that there's a lot of upside with Philly and Saquon. And my only thing about it is the knock on Saquon Barkley is not necessarily his play. It's that he plays. So the situation with Philly this past year was weird. I don't know what, like, players just seem to just check out in the middle of the season. From Hurts not looking like he cared to the defense not looking like they cared. And I don't know if this is gonna like help fix that, but I guess in my book, in my mind, like it's a big name, it's a splash. It puts Philly in this category of now we're like, oh well, Philly now they're back to being that top contender, and I'm just like I said in the Lions section, it's like, well, you have to look at these moves sort of like you have to look at the offseason in totality for it to make sense. Like Philly is coming off of another season where they get rid of their coordinator, or at least one of their coordinators. Matt Patricia not going to be calling their defense. I don't know why he was doing that to begin with, but not going to happen. As well as the offensive coordinator, I believe, also got fired. So you're going off of another season where you need new coordinators. Last year, Sirianni did not do a very good job replacing his good coordinators. So I don't know. I mean, like, could we see another year of the Eagles just doing basically the same thing? It's not out of the realm of possibility. Is my point. But I do think again, individual. It's similar to the Josh Jacobs thing, where I'm just like, yeah, I mean, it's like it's a good player, but like I don't know. I need to see a little bit more. I need to see the rest of the moves in totality to feel like, okay, now this team is very scary. So let's see. Do I have any more running back news? I do. I have a couple more. So the one that happened early this morning, I believe, or maybe it was last night. No, was it today? I don't even know. I'm losing track of these moves. The Texans trade for Joe Mixon. So Joe Mixon initially was cut, and then they were like, "Oh no, actually, we were just kidding, Joe. But you are leaving. You are gone. We're trading you." And we also just signed Zach Moss to like a 3-year deal or something like that. I'm a little surprised by this one. Joe Mixon, I guess they didn't want to pay him whatever they were going to pay him. I think Joe Mixon's a solid running back. It definitely boosts that running back room for Houston for sure, because Mixon is, I would say, probably better than Devin Singletary. At least more experience. Obviously, he went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, so he's got that. He's got that playoff experience that I think Houston could use if they want to make a run here in the AFC, especially when they have to go up against Mahomes and the Chiefs. Which do I even need to say? Of course, they're going to go up against them. But I mean, I don't think they really lost a whole lot. I think again, I don't have the terms in front of me because Bleacher Report does not update these things. It just has these little posts, and so if I don't get the terms, it's whatever. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good move for the Texans. Whatever. Since you trade your running back, you get a new one. Sure. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Your O-line isn't really good anyway, so I can't really like feel that great about bringing in Zach Moss as the replacement because he's probably not going to feel great behind that O-line because nobody feels great behind Cincy's O-line. And then the biggest one, and I think probably the one that will have the most success, if I didn't already say that. I hope I didn't already say that. I'm just talking, okay? Sometimes I say things and I don't even know what I'm saying. That's the nature of the show. Derrick Henry signs a 2-year, $16 million deal with the Ravens. I was going to say the Eagles, and I was like, wait, no, it's a different bird. The Ravens. So need I even say it? Derrick Henry's still a very, very good running back. He's still a force, and you're putting him in the offense. And what was one of the top offenses in the league in Baltimore that decided they didn't want to play football in the AFC Championship game, and I will never forgive Lamar for that. And just wait, by next year I'll be like calling back to Lamar, and I'll be telling him how much I love him and all sorts of things. Anyways, Derrick Henry going to the Ravens. I mean, I think it was probably one of the biggest hit. Like I think for sure, like a home run running back selection. Like, yeah, whatever. It's like, obviously he's not Derrick Henry of, 3, 4, 5 years ago, but he's still Derrick Henry. He's definitely going to be better than Gus Edwards was. And it just helps boost that Ravens team. They're trying to make a little bit of a push. Again, I'm not really sure what other moves they would make. Maybe add some wide receiver help, I guess. I don't know. Oh, your dog died. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Sorry to hear that. So shout out to Jake the dog. Sorry to hear that. Hope you're doing well though. Hope everything's okay. And your doggo dying is obviously not great. So hate to hear that, man. But anyways, I'm sorry. I'm not good at randomly having to mourn the loss of a pet in the middle of the show. But we'll move along. That's basically it for the running backs, though. So now I think we'll just go to, I guess, everybody else. Or no, wide receivers. Wide receivers. All right. So first big name wide receiver that was on the move was Jeudy, getting traded to the Browns for a 2024 fifth round and sixth round pick. Jeudy seemed like a little bit of a head case. Like he always sort of had those flashes where you thought he was going to have those moments. He had a little bit of the case of the dropsies a couple of years ago, though, according to, Brandon Perna, known Broncos fan, he basically seemed to have fixed that, and I'll trust him. I only watched one game of the Broncos this year, and it was against the Lions. So, I guess in my mind, I guess it's kind of an upgrade for the Browns, but I don't know. I don't even know who was in their wide receiver room. Not CeeDee Lamb. Amari Cooper. I guess that adds another weapon for presumably Deshaun Watson. I guess I don't know if Deshaun Watson is your guy though. So you give up some draft capital for Jeudy. And the thing about it is the only thing that bothers me about this for the Broncos is you had your chance to really trade Jeudy and get a decently large haul this past trade deadline. And you also had the chance to do it last trade deadline. Like last year when Russell Wilson was, doing high knees on the airplane, you had a chance to do it there. And they just it's like his value diminished because that's the only thing that can happen, right? Like if his value goes up so much, right, then you're just going to keep him anyway. If his value stays the same, I mean, then you might just also keep him there. Like he's going to go down in value. And naturally he did. They probably could have gotten more for him if it was a mid-season trade deadline deal, but all they get now is a couple of late round picks, which, hey, draft capital is draft capital. You can find guys in the 5th and 6th rounds, especially if you're a good GM. But the Jeudy era for the Broncos wasn't his fault, but it is what it is. He's going to move on to another team that is known for, quarterback stability and consistent play. So that was sarcasm in case you didn't catch that. Let's see. Again, I'm going up and down here. Let's see. Here's something that I find interesting. T. Higgins requesting a trade from the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I guess I don't really understand where T. Higgins, does he think he's better than he actually is? Like, Jamar Chase is their wide receiver one in Cincy. And it's no disrespect to T. Higgins. He's a fine wide receiver. But I guess if I was him, I would rather just stick around with Joe Burrow and, make a run for a championship because we know that Joe Burrow and the Bengals are probably the only team that has beaten Pat Mahomes in the playoffs that isn't Tom Brady. So to me, I guess he could find a lot of places home. He could find a lot of new places and do well. I mean, obviously the Chiefs are an immediate consideration as they definitely would want to add wide receiver help to their it's weird to say that they have a bad wide receiver core because I don't understand. They just figure things out. I don't know. They just are you know what? Let's try now. But I don't know what Cincy's gonna get from him. I suppose something similar to probably a little bit more than what Jeudy got, right? I mean, he's got to be a better wide receiver than Jeudy, I would think, but maybe not. I really don't know. I don't know how he values himself, and I certainly don't know how other teams are going to value him. But I think certainly, I mean, I'm saying it again, the Chiefs are the team that I would be on the watch for. Outside of the Chiefs, maybe the Patriots. I think I saw something. The Patriots would be interested. I keep saying anytime there's a wide receiver, but I feel like the Cardinals. I mean, are they gonna try to get better at all? Like I don't know. I mean, I feel like they have the cap space. I think T. Higgins would be a welcome addition. to that offense, right? I mean, other teams, I mean, maybe the Raiders. I don't like again, it's teams that need offensive help. And T. Higgins is a vet. He's a pretty solid wide receiver. So a lot of options, and I'm sure teams will call about him. It's just a question of what they're going to give up for him. But I figured it was interesting. I think Cincy would do well to have him stick around, and I think he would do well to stick around in Cincy because he's got that connection with Joe Burrow. You know, they have something going in Cincy if Joe Burrow stays healthy. But I don't know. I guess he wants more money, so more power to him, I guess. Moving along to, let's see. Is there anything else? Oh, okay. I guess that's it, because we'll get to the sneaky moves afterwards. Finally, before we get to the sneaky moves, we'll just do all the rest of them, basically. The defensive guys. So first things first, Chris Jones agreeing to $1 gazillion over 5 years with the Chiefs. Everyone is so happy about it. We're stoked. We're super, super happy to see that the Chiefs are going to have probably one of the best, if not the best, defensive tackles in football. A 5-year deal, by the way, worth $158 million with $101 million in guarantees. Yeah, I mean, it's well-deserved. He's an absolute force. He may have won the Super Bowl for them in a way, because that pressure that he brought on Brock Purdy on that final play before San Fran had to kick a field goal, that changed the game. That made it, a touchdown winner for the Chiefs. And he's just so good, and he changes the dynamic of that defense. Like, it's one of those things where, yeah, they were – it was either going to be Snead or it was going to be Chris Jones, and I think obviously they made the decision. I think they made the right decision, to be honest. I like Snead. Like I said, I want Snead to go to the Lions, but I think making your defensive line better makes everything better. Like anything, the most important part in football to me is in the trenches in your offensive line and your defensive line. And I mean, the guy has 75.5 career sacks, and he's just an absolute monster. I'm upset because, I would like to have seen a little bit of movement, but clearly Kansas City just makes up money. I don't know. They put enough zeros on the check just to get him to show up. So that's fine. I didn't mean to exit that out. Whatever. Moving along to the next big name. Here we are. This one shocked me because I did not think this team was going to be in the business of buying talent and making big moves. Brian Burns traded to the New York Football Giants and gets a 5-year, $150 million contract. That is $30 million a year, in case you were not great at math. With $87.5 million guaranteed. Carolina, they get a great compensation for this. They get a 2024 second round pick and a 2025 fifth round pick. So, how is this team? How does Carolina exist? If you're a Carolina Panthers fan, I have one question for you. Why? I mean, if you're from Carolina, you're from, where do they play? Raleigh? I think they play in Raleigh. Or no, they play in Charlotte. If you're from Charlotte, if you're from North Carolina, and I don't know, maybe you really like Cam Newton. I'm sorry. I just apologize. I know what it's like as a Lions fan to have a team that's just totally incompetent and seems to always find new ways and new lows to just. But like, you've made Super Bowls, like plural. Like, you've made multiple Super Bowls. You have 2 NFC Championship banners in your stadium. How? How does it get to this point? Just a few years ago, just like, I guess at this point, about a decade ago, Cam Newton was tearing up the world. The Carolina Panthers were like world beaters. And obviously Super Bowl happened, and it seemed like after that Super Bowl, nothing. It's like the Panthers lose a Super Bowl and they just go through the worst stretch of football known to mankind. It's like Jake Delhomme, dead. Cam Newton loses the Super Bowl, dead. I don't know. I don't know when if they're ever going to get out of this. But the fact that this is not the first time where they've gotten completely burned on a trade. And I don't know who the new GM is. I don't even remember. I'm pretty sure they fired the old guy. He's not put in a great situation because his owner is a moron. But on the other side of it, the Giants add to that defensive line. So you're going to have Brian Burns opposite of Kayvon Thibodeau, who is a solid, defensive end. Like, he's a solid player in his own right. Obviously, he dealt with a little bit of injury. I believe last year, I believe he dealt with some injury. I don't even know what he did this year. I think he might have been injured a little bit as well. But hey, they're trying to fix their trenches situation. Obviously, they give up a lot, or they give up not a lot. They give a lot of money, I should say, not a lot of capital. They don't really lose a lot there. But hey, all right, they pick up a really solid player in Brian Burns, and you're never gonna hear bad things about that, right? You're never gonna be. I would never be upset if I'm a Giants fan. I'm never gonna be upset if my team goes out and gets a really good player. And yeah, maybe you overpay him. Maybe it's not worth it by year 5, but in the meantime, you might have your coach. I think you probably do in Dayball. Question is whether or not you got your quarterback. I don't know. It's probably not looking great, but maybe you pick up your quarterback in this draft. It's a deep quarterback class, so I don't know. Maybe you do it. I don't know. Things can turn around quickly sometimes in the NFL. So it's a big move. I was not surprised. I was not expecting to see this. Is all I'm saying. Not expecting a Brian Burns to the Giants news. So that was unfortunate for me because I would have liked to see him in a Lions uniform. But the last big defensive signing was just a few hours ago, at this point, a couple of hours ago. Danielle Hunter. He signs with the Texans. I believe it was just a 2-year deal. So Danielle Hunter was probably one of my top choices I would have wanted in the I'm blanking. I just my brain just died. One of the top defensive players in this free agency. I don't know what just happened. I apologize. I don't know. Something, I just died. I my brain just fell out of my head. But he goes to the Texans, and now he's going to be opposite Will Anderson. And all of a sudden, the Texans, I mean, we talked about it earlier. They add what I just said. We talked about it earlier, and I totally forgot what it was. Who did they add? They added Joe Mixon. They trade for Joe Mixon. They bring in Danielle Hunter. And CJ Stroud is who he is. Assuming CJ Stroud continues to perform at the level he did last year, hey man, Houston, the AFC may have a problem because they've really started to build something. And D'Amico Ryan, he did a fantastic job in his first year as the head coach there. So seems like things are going pretty well for them. That's for sure. But I'm going to talk about 3 little sneaky moves. Not necessarily these moves are going to work out. Just moves that weren't giant, but they had some influence, I think. Gabe Davis to the Jags. I like Gabe Davis. I really do. I think it was a 3-year deal to Jacksonville. I really find that Gabe Davis is one of those, is he an elite wide receiver? No. But what does he do? He catches the football. He's like Diet Amon-Ra, right? Amon-Ra, he'll just he's not gonna, make these crazy one-handed catches, although he can do that. He's not gonna make these, he's not gonna outrun every defender on an end around or something. But he just catches the football. And I think you add to that room with Christian Kirk, and I'm sure they would like to get Calvin Ridley back. I know Calvin Ridley wants to stay with the Jags, but if they don't get a deal done with him, I think Gabe Davis is a solid replacement. He probably might even be a better replacement in terms of reliability because Calvin Ridley was he'd show up one week and be like, "Wow, there's Calvin Ridley." And then just, Calvin, did you even play? I don't where did you go? I understand maybe he was betting on the game or something. But I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a sneaky move here. The other one was Christian Wilkins to the Raiders. This was only sneaky in so much as it happened very early, and they paid him $1 gazillion. And you're going to have Christian Wilkins on the same line as Max Crosby. The Raiders, I don't know. It's I'm kind of I'm not saying they're a world beater right now, but Antonio Pierce, they seem to have the right coach, potentially a player's coach, a guy who players really want to play for, and had them playing fairly well down the stretch. and you had Christian Wilkins, who I think was one of the better defensive linemen in the in the free agency pool. So, you get something. I mean, it'd be cool to see the Raiders actually be good again, because my whole life they have been like not good, basically. Like they had like the one year they went to the Super Bowl in 03 against the Bucks. I think it was 03. I don't know, whatever year they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Bucks. But most of my life the Raiders have been bad, and sure, Seth, the Chargers fan, would appreciate them being bad for the rest of his life. But yeah, I enjoy fun. And the Raiders, obviously, John Madden, they're a historic franchise. It's a shame that they've been bad, as bad as they are for as long as they have been. But I don't know. Maybe this turns it around. And the other one I just want to briefly mention, just because it sort of relates to the Lions. Jonah Jackson, former Lion, signs with the Rams. Now, obviously, Jonah Jackson has a relationship with Matthew Stafford, played in front of Matthew Stafford for, I believe, at least a few years. Jonah Jackson's a solid guard. Thing about Jonah Jackson, though, staying healthy. And he would give you good play, but he was not reliable in terms of, staying on the field. So they pay him a lot of money, and hopefully hopefully he does well for them, I guess, and hopefully he stays healthy. I don't know. He's not one of the top guards in the league, in my opinion, but he is certainly formidable. So here for the Rams, they bolster that O-line. They're trying to get themselves back into a competitive tie. I mean, I guess they made the playoffs, so they're already in that sphere a little bit. So that was a lot of free agency. Oh my gosh. So, a lot of free agency. So that is basically my breakdown of all the free agency stuff. I'm sure there will be more news as the days go by, and we'll break it down probably next week. But we still have a few things I want to break down here before we get going here. You know what? I guess I'll start with the Red Wings, because right now the Red Wings are currently losing to the Buffalo Sabres on the road 4-1 in the second period. If they lose this game, which it seems like they almost certainly will, they will have lost 6 straight games following a 6-game win streak. They will have not won a game in the month of March, losing most of their games by by multiple goals. And all of this coming basically after the loss of Dylan Larkin. Though, to be fair, 2 of those losses were with Dylan Larkin, against the Islanders at home and against the Panthers on the road. But to me, it becomes more unacceptable when I look at what they did at the trade deadline. And by what they did at the trade deadline, I mean nothing. The Red Wings made one trade. They trade with the Sharks. They trade Klim Kostin for 2024 7th round for 2024 7th round pick, and defenseman Radim Simek, who they send to the AHL. They send to Grand Rapids. Clearly, this team needed an extra push, and Steve Yzerman apparently did not think so. He didn't think they needed to make any sort of move to acquire more scoring talent or more defensive talent. He didn't think they needed to do anything, essentially. I mean, other than dump Klim Kostin's salary, which was one of the players that he brought in this past offseason, who did basically nothing for us. And other than maybe be a depth piece, I guess. I'm looking at this team right now. They're losing 4-1. And they're only in the wild card right now because New York lost a game. They're stumbling out of the block in the month of March. Now, to be fair, and I guess I'm trying to look at some silver lining. Let me pull up their schedule for the month of March. Because I guess you could say it gets a little easier upcoming here. I mean, right now they're losing 4-1 to the Sabres. They lost 4-0 to the Coyotes, and they lost 5-3 to the Golden Knights. It's weird. They actually put up more of a fight against the Golden Knights than they did to the Coyotes. Like we're breaching on absolute panic mode for me. Like, you were a lock for the playoffs going into the month of March, and you have done everything in your power to fall apart. Everything. I think I saw something there. According to Money Puck, their playoff odds are now at 48%. They were upwards of 70%. And you've dropped now 30 percentage points in the playoff odds. It's ridiculous. Like they just panned some Red Wing fan, and he was not happy. But it was like a Red Wing fan, like a guy, and then like a daughter or his wife or someone, and they were just they're just having a great time. How's your week, Ben? Oh my gosh, didn't you see Becky over the week? And then this guy's just like, this is the worst. I hate this team. This team is miserable. All they do is give me pain. They're letting me down. We need Dylan Larkin. Like, I can't blame all this on Dylan Larkin being down. Like, Dylan Larkin's a really good player, and obviously he's the captain, but nobody is stepping up. I mean, nobody's, making up for the lack of offense. The goaltending has been atrocious. Like, when was the last time we gave up less than 4 goals? I got it. Let me look this up. Okay. Let's see. Last time we gave up less than 4 goals was February 27th to the Capitals. That was the last game we won. That was the last time. I cannot stand what Poles is doing with Justin. Send him away. You know what? We'll briefly. Oh, geez, they just scored again. Oh my gosh. I'll get to that in just a second, Stork. Look, the Red Wings are right now. They're losing 5-1. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my mind. Steve, why? Why did you do nothing? Like, clearly this team needed an extra push. Clearly they are not, locks for a playoff spot. And I get you can't control injuries. You can't control that Dylan Larkin got hurt. But Dylan Larkin getting hurt is not why, we have goaltenders giving up 3-4 goals every single night. Defense has been atrocious. Nobody's scoring. It's all out panic mode. And Derek Lalonde is another guy. Like, you got to figure it out. You lose your captain. You got to come up with a game plan. I mean, you're telling me that what is your game plan? Just rely, I don't know, get the puck to Dylan Larkin and have him figure things out. Like, this is like, if the Wings somehow manage to not make the playoffs, it will be nothing short of an utter disaster, and Steve Yzerman's got to take the blame for it. He has to. He built this roster. Coach Lalonde certainly has to take some of the blame. I mean, you have a lock, and I called it a lock. You had a lock for the playoffs, and it's slowly falling apart. There's still a lot of hockey to play in the month of March. You will have, let me take a look again here. You will have the Coyotes, the Sabres again at home, then Pittsburgh on the road, Columbus at home. Those are games you have to be able to win. You have to be able to. At this point, you got to just go on another run. Like because you're probably going to lose this game here, now you got to go on another win streak. Because there's only so many games left. And New York, the Islanders, they're breathing down your neck. And you're going to play them in a week. So you've got to get it figured out. You've got to you need to get Dylan Larkin back for sure. And he's not going to get reevaluated until Saturday. And you have a 12:30 start for that game on Saturday. So he's probably not going to be playing that game. Unless they give him the miracle drug on Saturday and he's ready to go. Heaven forbid, he goes down. He's not going to be able to come back until April. You can't dig yourself into this hole. And the month of April, it's not easy. You got a lot of playoff opponents. You got Tampa Bay. You got New York. You got the Maple Leafs on the road. Like, it's not going to be easy. So you got to figure it out now, or else you're going to be sitting on your couch come late April and May for the playoffs. So very upset right now with the Red Wings, and this is just absolutely pathetic. But I wanted to get to this comment here from the Stork. Bears fan here. I cannot stand what Poles is doing with Justin. Send him away. Look, here's what I'll say, Stork. I think the reason you can't send Justin away, not really good. I don't get this. There is I feel like I'm getting gaslit sometimes. There's a contingency of human beings out there who will insist that Justin Fields is a good quarterback based on essentially nothing, based on highlight reels and fantasy football. Like, he isn't good. Clearly, teams don't think he's good. The Falcons would rather sign an aging Kirk Cousins, who I like and think is better than Justin Fields. They would rather do that, coming off an Achilles injury, than trade for Justin Fields. who in theory, quote unquote, has more upside, has more athletic ability. Like, he just can't throw the football. He can't. They gave him help. Like, this is the thing. It's like this weird, like, revisionist history that happens. Like, the Bears go out and they get DJ Moore. And I was like, oh, finally, they give Justin Fields some help and Dalton Kincaid and they give him some help. And what do you know? Justin Fields falls flat on his face because he's just not a good quarterback. He's just not. So it doesn't surprise me that no teams are wanting to trade for him. I mean, like, again, another example. The Raiders go out and sign Gardner Minshew, a career backup quarterback, essentially. They sign Gardner Minshew before they go and they trade for Justin Fields. That's how they feel about it. Like, fine. Have him trade him to, I don't know. I don't even know who's left. The Giants. I don't know. Trade him to the Giants. Trade him to now I'm like going through teams. The Saints. I don't know. Like, trade him anywhere you want. He's gonna let you down. Like, his fourth quarter numbers are atrocious, and teams notice that. So, yeah, it's not a surprise to me. But speaking of lack of surprises, Michigan State basketball. Oh, Michigan State basketball. They split their final two games, beating Northwestern on a comeback and then failing to come back against Indiana. Michigan State basketball is, as declared a couple of weeks ago and then resurrected a little bit, Michigan State basketball is dead. It's dead. It's not what it is. And I have a little bit of a bone to pick with some Michigan State fans because I got to say, I thought we were better. I really did. I thought we were better. There are a large contingency of Michigan State basketball fans who will tell you with a straight face, and in fact, will call you stupid if you so much as disagree with the fact at this point that Tom Izzo is a washed coach. I went through some of the stats last week. His records in March since 2020 have been absolutely atrocious. If not slightly above 500, they would be below or 500 exactly. I believe at this point, his record this year is below. So he hasn't been good in March, which is supposedly his month. His classes have been either not utilized, looking at you, Xavier Booker, or just not all that good. It's like, do people forget about Marcus Bingham? No, they don't remember Marcus Bingham. Do people forget about Aaron Henry or Gabe Brown? I didn't forget about these guys. What about Joey Hauser? Yeah, Joey Hauser was. Oh wait, that's right. He wasn't recruited. He was a transfer. And there you also. Well, I mean, what about Tyson Walker? He was another transfer. So what do we got here? We have Malik Hall, who was recruited by him. Malik Hall was fine, I guess, decent. You have AJ Hogard, who's okay. You have Cohen Carr, who cannot shoot. He couldn't hit fish in a barrel. You have Xavier Booker, who I don't even know if he's good. I don't know. Because apparently Tom Izzo doesn't seem to think so. Because he's not playing him. If he was so good, if he was the best player, okay? This is the thing that gets me with people. It's like, oh, well, just wait. He's developed. If he was so good, he would be playing. Because we're starting Mady Sissoko. And Mady Sissoko, another great recruit, by the way, stinks. No other way of putting it. He's awful. He's so bad. He's one of the worst centers I've seen at Michigan State. And Carson Cooper also stinks. So we have two bad centers, and we have a tall, I think he's technically a power forward, but he pretty much, he can play safety. He can play center in Xavier Booker. And yeah, we'll give him like 10 minutes. No, we won't even give him 10 minutes. We'll give him like 8 minutes. And then ride the bench. Watch. Like, I'm not even saying that he's good or bad, but if he was good, it wouldn't be a question to any coach whether he goes in. Maybe it's a question to Tom Izzo because he has this idea that, guys are just going to stick around for 4 years and figure it out. I got a newsflash for you, Tom. There's this thing called the transfer portal, and the 2 best players that you've had in the last couple of years both came from it. So, you better figure it out, and start utilizing the portal a little bit more instead of trying to build a team like you did in 2010. Like, the game has changed, and the in-game stuff has changed. Like, this is the thing that gets me, okay? How many situations this year is Michigan State game on the line, need a basket, need a stop? Here we go. This is Tom Izzo at his prime. He's going to have something, and they lose. It's like it just happened. It just happened. Like Indiana, game on the line. They're up by 1. All you need is a basket. Everybody knows the ball is going to Tyson Walker, Tom. Everybody knows. What are we going to do? Well, Tyson's going to dribble a little bit. Let's see. 10 to shoot. Drive. Just lay it up. See if it works out. What? That's your play? Is just send up a prayer and hope that the patron saint of basketball has the ball hit the glass in just the right angle that it goes in and you sneak away with a win. And by the way, in that Indiana game, the fact that game was close to begin with is less of a testament for Tom and more of a testament against Tom, because need I remind you, the only reason that we had to come back in that game was because we were down 22-7. Like, this is what gets me. It's like people are like, well, they fought. They almost. It's like, well, they don't come back. I don't care that they fought. I don't care what the final score was. What was the score the first 5 minutes where, you got guys lobbing up bricks like they're building, real estate? Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, the standard of what we should come to expect from Michigan State basketball, when I was, in my younger years of, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago, the expectation was, just make the Final Four. Right? Win the Big Ten, obviously. We're one of the win the Big Ten. We were ranked 4th going into the season. And I was one of the only people who was like, I don't really know why we're ranked 4th. Like, no, here we go. Tom Izzo, 4th year. Is the seniors are going to be ready. This is how he does. And, fart noise and, dead. And hold on, let me get the drop. Let me pull it. Here it is. This is how we show up. Number 4. Dial tone. Just dead. We're like the Red Wings, down 6-1 to the freaking Buffalo Sabres. I'm going to lose my mind. Like, I don't get this idea. Like, oh no, it's not Tom Izzo's fault. It's not, like, I love Tom Izzo. We're not going to fire him. He built this mess. Now he's got to fix it, because he's not going to get fired, like I just said. He's going to either have to retire on his own, or he's going to have to change what he's doing, because what he's been doing since 2020 is not working. Period. End of story. That's it. So we got to stop this. Like, Tom Izzo is our guy. We need to stick with him. He's going to get us in the tournament again. It's like, at a certain point, I get a little tired of making the tournament and losing in the first or second round. I really do. I had fun last year. I had fun. We made the Sweet 16. That was fun to me. I used to have fun making the Final Four. Now I don't even get that. So, fun stuff. Buffalo is murdering the Red Wings. I hate this team. I hate hockey. I hate everything right now. Everything is bad. Everything is pain. It's pain. It's like Jameis Winston. Yeah, it's just pain. But anyway. That is where we will wrap up the show. So obviously there's a lot of stuff we had to get to. It's a little bit longer of a show this time. So if you enjoyed, we're going to be talking free agency there. The Red Wings scored a goal. Wow. Power play goal. Wow. If you enjoyed, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button. Spread the show. Spread the channel. Trying to grow it up. Trying to get big. We'll be back next week, next Tuesday. Oh, and a little bit of an update. So I won't be able to live stream opening day for baseball on Thursday. Not Thursday, the 28th, in a couple of weeks here. I know it's still several weeks or 2 weeks away at this point, but I just wanted to make that known because I referenced it in the last show in case somebody watched and was like, "Oh, are you still going to do that?" No, I won't be able to do that. But I'll see if I can do like actual like opening day for Comerica Park. I have to look work schedules and stuff like that. I probably won't be able to, but if I can, I'll try to make it happen. So, yeah. With that, though, that's where we're going to wrap up the show. Again, if you enjoyed, hit the subscribe, hit the like button, spread the video, like it, all that fun stuff. Like, leave a comment. Maybe we'll have a discussion. Fun stuff. So, yeah. With that, I'm going to watch the rest of the Red Wings murder fest as they slowly kill me. Because that's just all good things must die in the most painful and embarrassing way. Have a good night, everybody, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday for next show. We'll talk all the news of the week. Good night, everybody. See you later.